You're just dead weight, Zara. Mark didn't sign up to raise someone else's baggage, Mamov said, shoving my scuffed purple suitcase toward the Greyhound bus door without even looking at me. I was 12, standing in the middle of the Dallas bus station in an oversized hoodie and Walmart sneakers, my stomach growling, my backpack cutting into my shoulder where my math textbook dug in. She sent me off with $40 in crumpled bills, a half-charged phone, and a promise she never planned to keep, and then she blocked my number before my bus even left the platform. I didn't scream, I didn't cling to her arm or make a scene like in the movies. I sat in the cracked final seat, opened my school notebook, and wrote down the exact time she walked away without turning back. 12 years later, when she walked into my awards ceremony in New York City begging me to save the same husband she chose over me, the security guards had to hold her up when she heard my answer. Zara, please. I'm your mother, she whispered, mascara streaking down her face. But by then, it was already too late. If you've ever been treated like an inconvenience by the one person who was supposed to protect you, stay with me until the end. You'll see exactly how I turned the truth into the only revenge I needed. My name is Zara. I'm 24 now. And to understand why my mother was escorted out of a Manhattan ballroom while I signed a multimillion-dollar deal upstairs, you need to know where it all started. When I was little, we looked fine from the outside. No, we lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment just outside Dallas, with beige carpets, hand-me-down couches, and a TV that only worked if you smacked the side twice. Saturday mornings were cartoons and microwaved pancakes. Sunday nights were frozen pizza and whatever reality competition was on. My mom, Lena, I used to sit on the floor with me and paint my nails bright colors from the clearance bin at CVS. She'd braid my hair before school, humming along to old Mariah Carey songs on the radio. I remember one night when the power went out during a storm and we made shadow puppets on the wall with a flashlight, laughing so hard my sides hurt. That version of her feels like a ghost now. The cracks started after my dad died. I was 7 when a drunk driver ran a red light and T-boned his pickup on his way home from the late shift. One knock on the door from a state trooper, one closed casket funeral, and suddenly it was just me and her. At first she was sad, then she got angry. At him, at bills, at the world, at me. Your dad left me with nothing, she'd mutter, slamming the fridge. If it wasn't for you, I could have started over somewhere better. I didn't understand everything, but I heard enough to know that in her story, I was the anchor keeping her from her real life. When I was 10, the boyfriend started. There was Tyler, who didn't do kids, so I had to stay in my room whenever he came over. There was Jeff, whose breath always smelled like beer, who complained that I looked at him weird. Each time, my mom would introduce them with this pleading look in her eyes. This is my friend. She'd say, be nice, Zara, don't be, too much. I tried so hard. I made myself smaller, quieter, more helpful in the kitchen. I thought if I was good enough, they'd decide I was worth keeping to. Instead, every time a relationship blew up, she'd turn on me. Men don't want built-in teenagers, she'd snap. You'll ruin everything. By 11, I'd learned a harsh truth. In my mother's life, I wasn't her daughter. I was a problem to negotiate away. The breaking point had a name, Mark. It was January 4th, 2013. I remember because I had just gotten second place in the regional math bee, and my mom hadn't shown up. That night, she came home late, smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't hers, lipstick redder than usual. Zara, she said, eyes glued to her phone. I've been talking to someone serious. His name's Mark. He lives in Miami. He owns a boat, a condo on the water. No kids. Good job. It's a pathetic, hopeful part of me asked, is he okay with me? She finally looked up, annoyance flickering. We'll figure it out, she said. You can go stay with Grandma June for a bit this summer, while things settle. Something about the way she said a bit made the hair on my arms stand up, but I shoved it down. People don't just get rid of their kids, right? Then June 21st, 2013, happened. The day everything changed forever. I remember exactly what I was doing when the betrayal really started. I was sitting cross-legged on our stained living room carpet, folding clothes into my beat-up purple suitcase. The room smelled like cheap candle wax and old takeout. I put my 2 favorite tea on top, then my math textbook, then the stuffed bear my dad had won for me at a county fair when I was 6. Only pack what you need, my mom said from the doorway, arms crossed over her new floral blouse. She had on more makeup than usual, eyeliner, perfect hair straightened. How long am I staying at Grandma's? I asked, trying to sound casual, like a couple weeks, till school starts. She picked up my worn-out sneakers, frowned at the holes, and tossed them aside. Don't overthink it, she said. I'll let you know when it's time to come back. Anyway, your grandma's lonely. She'll love having you. The Dallas Greyhound station was colder than I expected. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, reflecting off sticky floors. The air smelled like fryer grease from the food stand and that weird bus exhaust smell that makes your stomach turn. My mom handed me an envelope. There's $40 in there, she said. I already bought your ticket online. It's like, what, a 5-hour ride to Maple Creek? You'll be fine. 40, I repeated. For how long? Zara? Don't be dramatic, she snapped, already half focused. On her phone. The screen lit up with a text. Can't wait till you're here, Mark. She smiled at it in a way she hadn't smiled at me in years. You'll be fine, she repeated, like that ended the discussion. Just don't blow up my phone, okay? Things are complicated right now. I'll call you when I can. Mom, I said quietly, my throat's tight. You're still coming back before 8th grade, right? She rolled her eyes. God, you are so intense, she muttered. Look, Mark, didn't sign up to raise someone else's baggage. I need to make this work. Once we're settled, we'll figure something out. Baggage, I whispered. I'm baggage. She didn't answer. She was already walking toward the exit. Text me when you get to your grandma's, she called over her shoulder. If my phone's off, it just means we're on the road. I watched her walk through the automatic doors and out into the parking lot. She didn't turn around. Not once. On the bus, the cracked vinyl seats stuck to the backs of my legs. The air conditioning rattled. The baby cried somewhere behind me. I pressed my forehead to the grimy window and watched her car pull out, merge into traffic, and disappear. My cheap, prepaid phone buzzed once. Have a safe trip. Love you, Mom. I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Then, because I'd already learned that memories get fuzzy and adults change their stories, I pulled out my spiral notebook and wrote, June 21st, 2013, 3:17 p.m. Mom dropped me. At Dallas Greyhound. Said going to Grandma's for a bit. Called me baggage. Day 1, at Grandma June's little house in Maple Creek, Ohio. I told myself it was temporary. The house was tiny, with sagging porch steps and floral curtains from the 80s. It smelled like coffee, laundry detergent, and old wood. Grandma hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Her hands were rough from years of working at the diner. Lord, look at you, she said, pulling back to see my face. You're all legs like your daddy. Lena says you're just here for the summer. Yeah, I lied. My voice too small. Till school. That night I'd sat on the scratchy couch, thumb hovering over my mum's name on my phone. I waited till I saw a couple of bars of signal and hit call. Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. I hung up before the voicemail started. Day 2, I tried again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. Day 3, it didn't ring at all. Just an error tone. I opened Instagram, searched her username. User not found. Facebook. Add friend instead of friends. I squinted at the screen. Then I did something I wasn't proud of. I made a new account with a fake name and searched again. Her profile popped right up. There she was, on a boat in Miami with Mark, sunglasses on, drink in hand, the ocean behind them, the caption below, the photo, finally living my best life. No drama, no kids, no strings, just us. Hashtag child-free, hashtag new chapter. My thumb went numb on the screen. No kids. My profile picture used to be her and me at the state fair. Cotton candy on my nose. It was gone. I scrolled. There was no trace of me anywhere. Day 4, the denial cracked. Day 5, something colder slid into its place. I sat on Grandma's lumpy couch, hand shaking, and opened my notebook again. On the front, in big block letters, I wrote, June 21st, Mom put me on Greyhound to Maple Creek with $40. June 22nd, phone calls go to voicemail. June 23, blocked on Facebook and Instagram. Saw her post, no drama, no kids, no strings. I didn't know exactly why I was writing it. All I knew was that I needed proof. Proof that I wasn't just being sensitive. Proof that if she ever tried to rewrite the story, I'd have more than my word. Meanwhile, life at Grandma's wasn't some cozy Hallmark movie. She worked double shifts at a diner off the highway for minimum wage and tips. Social Security barely covered the mortgage on her little house, the one my dad had helped her save for before he died. Some nights, dinner was canned soup, split between us. Sometimes it was scrambled eggs and toast. Even when it wasn't breakfast, she always tried to push the bigger portion onto my plate. "You're growing," she'd say. "I'm just getting old." Heat in the summer was a box fan in the window and cold washcloths on our necks. Winter was 2 space heaters and 3 blankets. I did homework at the kitchen table under a yellowing overhead light that buzzed when it got too hot. I learned how far $40 actually goes. Bus ticket from Dallas, $32.98. Grandma refused to let me pay her back. That left $7.02. I bought a pack of socks from Dollar General and a cheap notebook on clearance. That was it. That was what my mother had sent me into my new life with. If you were 12, sitting in your grandma's tiny living room with a phone that suddenly stopped reaching your mom, blocked everywhere while she posted no kids, no strings beach photos, would you call child services and risk foster care? Or would you stay quiet and cling to the only person left, even if it meant swallowing the truth for a while? On about day 10 of my new life at Grandma's, something changed. It started small, with her standing in the kitchen watching me stir a pot of boxed mac and cheese. The fluorescent light hummed overhead. The old fridge wheezed in the corner. "You've been awful quiet, kiddo," she said, wiping her hands on a faded dish towel. "And not the good kind of quiet." I shrugged, staring at the spirals of pasta. "I'm fine." She raised one gray eyebrow, the same eyebrow my dad had when he knew I was lying. "Zara, I've had 2 husbands, 1 son, and about 1,000 customers tried to lie to my face over 68 years, she said. "You're not even in the top 100. Tell me the truth. What did your mama do?" The words she just sent me here for a while hovered on my tongue. They'd been my script for a week, but I thought about the blocked calls, the no kids post, the way she'd said baggage, the lie scraped against my teeth. "She blocked me," I said instead. My voice cracked on the last word. Rama frowned. "On what?" "Everything," I said. "Phone, Facebook, Instagram." I had to make a fake account at the library just to see her page. She's in Miami with Mark already, posting like I never existed. Grandma's hand tightened on the towel. "Show me," she said. We walked to the town library the next day after her morning shift. It smelled like old paper and that weird carpet cleaner every public building seems to use. I logged into the crappy desktop, pulled up my mom's profile. There she was again, on a beach, on a boat, in his condo, different outfits, same caption theme: "Love my child-free life, no responsibilities, just us." "Best decision I ever made." Grandma leaned in, reading the words slowly, her jaw clenched. "That girl," she muttered, meaning my mom. "Her only daughter has always been selfish. But this is a whole different league." She straightened, backcracking. "Okay," she said. "Enough crying in the dark. We're getting you some protection." "From what?" I asked. "From her changing her damn mind when it suits her," Gran said. "From her coming back in 5 years acting like she did you a favor. Come on, we're going to see Collins." "Who's Collins?" I asked. "Small town lawyer. Divorced me from your granddad back when dinosaurs roamed the earth," she said dryly. "Knows his stuff." Mr. Collins's office was on the 2nd floor above a nail salon on Main Street. The waiting room smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. He was in his late 50s. Thick glasses, hairline retreating, tie a little too short. "What can I do for y'all?" he asked, shuffling papers. Grandma told him everything: my dad's death, my mom's boyfriends, the bus station, the blocking, the no kids post. He listened without interrupting, then looked at me. "How old are you, Zara?" 12, I said. "Going into 8th grade. You want to stay with your grandma?" he asked. My throat tightened, but I nodded. Double quotes, "Yes, sir." He leaned back. "Well," he said slowly, "we can file for legal guardianship. Even termination of your mom's parental rights if she cooperates. That would give your grandma full say over your life. School, medical, all that. And it would make it harder for your mom to just yank you around when she feels like it." He paused. "You got any proof of what she did?" I hesitated. Then I pulled my spiral notebook from my backpack, flipping to the evidence page. My handwriting looked small and tight on the lined paper. Dates, direct quotes, descriptions. I slid it across the desk. He read in silence. Then he did something I didn't expect. He nodded, impressed. Keep this up, he said. Write down everything. Dates, times, what she said, what you saw. Screenshots, if you can get them. Judges like specifics. Grandma squeezed my shoulder. See, she said. Told you that brain of yours was good for more than math tests. Within 3 months, after a couple of hearings my mother didn't bother to attend, Grandma June became my legal guardian. A piece of paper with a court seal said she had full custody. Another paper, one my mom had signed without even flying, said she voluntarily relinquished her parental rights and obligations. One line stood out. I understand that by signing this, I forfeit any legal claim or responsibility regarding the minor child czar. Grandma made a copy for Mr. Collins, a copy for the court, and one she put in a plastic sleeve and handed to me. This, she said, tapping it, is your shield. World tries to guilt you later. You show 'em this. People forget what they say. Paper doesn't. Over the next few years, she became more than just my grandma. She was my anchor and my drill sergeant. She got me enrolled in the local middle school, then the high school. She marched into the office like she owned the place. This is Zara Miller, she told the guidance counselor. She's sharp as a tack, and she's been through hell. Help her get to college, or I'll come back with a lawyer. At home, she made rules and taped them to the fridge. No lies. If we're broke, we're broke. Together, if you're sad here, but don't you lie to me, girl. School comes first. Dishes can wait. That algebra can't. Keep your papers, report cards, awards, letters, bills. You'll never know when you'll need to prove something. Don't build your life around someone who already walked out once. But at first I hated the structure. I missed my old room, my old friends. The fantasy that my mom would show up any day with a plane ticket and an apology, but slowly, the routines, homework at the kitchen table, Saturday library trips, Sunday grocery runs with coupons, started to feel less like a punishment and more like a foundation. For the first time in forever, I could go to sleep without wondering if I'd wake up to find my stuff in trash bags by the door. Have you ever had someone show up for you in the least glamorous way possible? Rides, meals, paperwork, tough talks when everyone else disappeared. Someone who didn't make big speeches, just quietly made sure you were okay. What did that change for you? Time in that little house in Maple Creek was measured in report cards and overdue bill notices. By the time I was 15, I'd gone from the girl whose mom ran off to Florida to that kid who aces every test. Teachers knew my name. So did the librarian and half the diner regulars. When my PSAT scores came back high, the guidance counselor actually called Grandma at work. June, this girl is scholarship material, she said. If we play this right, she won't have to pay for college. We didn't have Wi-Fi at home, so I did what most broke kids do. I found workarounds. I stayed late at the school library, the humming computers and smell of plastic binders weirdly comforting. I watched free YouTube videos on coding, design, and anything that looked remotely like it could make money someday. At 16, using a combination of YouTube tutorials and sheer stubbornness, I built my first basic website for a local mechanic. He paid me $150 and a free oil change coupon I couldn't even use because we didn't own a car. $150 felt like $1 million. I wrote it down in a cheap marble notebook. Czar's Income 2017 March 4th built website for Joe's Auto. $150 March 18 tutoring 3 kids X $10 $30 April 2nd babysitting for neighbor $1 to $5 the habit of documenting had spread. I had a notebook for money, a binder for school stuff, and a thicker worn-out spiral labeled Evidence Mom, where I kept updating any new scraps of information about her. Screenshots of her public posts. Bragging about no kids equals no stress. Copies of the custody papers. A log of the 0 calls I got from her each birthday. By 17, I had something else. ANSAT score high enough to turn the head of a few good schools and a GPA that made the principal smile when she saw me in the hallway. Don't you dare settle, she told me. Apply everywhere. Let them tell you no. So I did. I filled out FAFSA forms in Grandma's shaky kitchen chair. I wrote essays about resilience and responsibility and watched Grandma cry quietly at the table like she was mourning and proud at the same time. Senior year, A big white envelope showed up from a state university known for its engineering and computer science programs. Dear Zara, we are pleased to offer you admission with a full tuition scholarship. Bamwa held the letter with both hands like it might float away. You did this, she whispered. On your own damn steam. With you, I corrected. She just shook her head, tears glinting. The summer before college, she did something I didn't expect. She pulled out a fireproof lockbox from under her bed. Inside were my dad's death certificate, the paid-off mortgage, papers for the little house. A handwritten will, signed and notarized. It ain't fancy, she said, but it's what I got. She'd left the house, her savings, and everything she owned to me. And before you say anything, she added, this is also protection. If your mama ever shows up saying, that was my husband's house, that's my money, we've got this. She tapped the will. Courts care more about this than tears. We had Mr. Collins file the paperwork properly. I made copies, scanned them at the library, saved them in an email folder titled Life_Docs. I left for college at 18 with one suitcase, a refurbished laptop I'd bought with website money, and a plastic file folder thick with documents. I also carried something less tangible, the understanding that nobody was coming to save me. I either built my life or I got swallowed. College was like landing on another planet, fast Wi-Fi, kids whose parents sent them DoorDash money instead of guilt, people who thought working 20 hours a week on top of classes was crazy, while my roommates blew through allowances. I juggled 15 credit hours, a work-study job at the campus IT help desk, and freelancing, websites, logos, basic app prototypes. One night, a freshman on my floor knocked on my door, eyes puffy. I don't think I can stay, she said. My financial aid fell through. I didn't know about half these scholarships till it was too late. It wasn't just her. I kept meeting smart, broke kids who missed opportunities because they didn't know where to look. So over winter break, sophomore year, alone in the mostly empty dorm, I opened my laptop and started building something I wished I'd had at 16. I called it Step Up, a simple web app that matched students with scholarships, paid internships, and freelance gigs based on their grades, interests, and schedule. I scraped data from scholarship sites, job boards, campus bulletins. I made the sign up free. I posted the link in 3 college Facebook groups and on my Twitter with 78 followers. I expected maybe 50 people to try it. Within 3 months, 1,000 students across 3 campuses had accounts. Within a year, over 20,000 emails started landing in the Step Up inbox. Because of a scholarship I found through your site, I don't have to drop out. Thank you. We got my first design client, made rent. You literally saved me. I forwarded the first email to Grandma. Look, we're not the only ones living on coupons, I wrote. She replied in all caps. I always told you broke kids are smarter. Prove me right. At 20, an education nonprofit found Step Up and offered a $50,000 grant to expand it. I sat on the floor of my dorm room, staring at the email until my roommate shook my shoulders. That's like real money, she said. I did what I always do with numbers. I wrote them down. Then I forwarded the email to Grandma with the subject line, "A little bit of crazy just happened." She called me, half laughing, half crying. How many zeros is 50,000 again? She asked. 4, I said, laughing. 5 digits. We used the grant to clean up the site, build a mobile app, hire 2 part-time student developers. The university's entrepreneurship center brought us in. We pitched at a campus competition and won another $10,000. While Step Up grew, life at home didn't stay frozen. At the end of my junior year, Grandma had a stroke. The call came at 2:13 a.m. from a neighbor whose number I didn't recognize. Zara, it's Denise next door. They took June to the hospital. She's asking for you. I was on the next bus home. I walked into the ICU to see her half limp on the bed, tubes everywhere, her left arm resting uselessly by her side. She gripped my hand with her good one. Don't you dare drop out, she slurred. I swear to God, I'll haunt you. Hospital bills, piled up on the kitchen table. Insurance covered some, a lot. It didn't, meds, rehab. The numbers made my chest tight. I opened a new spreadsheet, title, Medical Grandma minus 2021, and filled in every charge, every payment. I picked up extra freelance work, then extra step-up consulting gigs for schools that wanted custom versions. 6 months later, she was gone. I didn't cry at the funeral. I stood there in a black dress she would have hated, clutching a manila folder, death certificate, last medical bills, will, my guardianship papers, the whole timeline of how she'd held my life together. My mother didn't show. She didn't call. A week after we buried Grandma, I got a notification. People you may know on Facebook. The first suggestion. Lena Miller, now Lena Hayes, her profile picture. Her and Mark on some boat, years older, sun on their faces, drinks in hand. Caption. Still living my best life. Just us. Hashtag no regrets. I took a screenshot and added it to evidence, Mom. By the time I graduated college at 22, Step Up wasn't just a side project. We had 100,000 users nationwide. A pair of angel investors offered us $300,000 in seed funding for 15% of the company, valuing us at $2 million. I signed the deal with hands that remembered counting out quarters at Dollar General. A year later, we closed a $1.5 million round. Company valuation, around $8 million. My salary, $120,000 a year. 4-kid me, who'd stretched $40 across a summer. Those numbers felt like a glitch in the matrix. I did 2 things with that money. I renovated Grandma's little house, new windows, working central heat and air, a desk where I could work when I visited. I set up the June Miller Scholarship Fund for first-gen college students being raised by grandparents. Meanwhile, my mom's glossy life started to crack. Bought photos from Miami got less frequent. A relative I barely talked to texted me one day, "Hey, just so you know, your mom's back in Texas. Mark got sick. Money's tight. She was asking about you." Even before the messages came, I knew. People like her don't look you up when things are good. They remember you when there's a bill they can't pay. Right on cue. On my 23rd birthday, the same week, Forbes put me on some under 32 watch list I never asked to be on. I got a text from an unknown number. "Hi, baby. It's Mom. Happy birthday. I saw you on the news. I'm so proud of you. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. Then I took a screenshot, saved it in a new folder. Mom contact attempts. I didn't reply. A week later. "I know you're busy, big shot, but I'm still your mother. I miss you. Let's put the past behind us." Greet shut, save, no reply. 3 months after that. The pitch changed. "Really need to talk. Mark's been in and out of the hospital. The bills are insane. We're drowning. I know you're doing well. You're all I have. Please don't punish me forever. Blood is blood." Screenshot, save. I didn't respond because by then, something else had happened. Step Up had been shortlisted for a National Social Impact Award in New York City. Televised, black tie interviews, the whole circus. If my mom was watching me close enough to know my income, I knew one thing for sure. She'd see that. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning accountability. There's a difference, Mr. Collins. Now with more gray hair and joke ties, met me in his office before I flew out. "You still got all those papers?" he asked. I laid a thick folder on his desk. Inside, custody relinquishment papers, Grandma's will naming me sole heir, my mom's old social posts, declaring herself #child-free and no kids, no baggage, her recent texts asking for money because family. He grinned without humor. "If she tries anything legal, claiming your grandma's house, demanding you support her, these will eat that up in court. Judges love dates and signatures." I thought of what Grandma taught me. The world remembers paper more than pain. On the flight to New York, watching clouds cover the ground like cotton, I realized something. I wasn't that 12-year-old on the Greyhound anymore. But my mom, she was still the woman who thought she could just edit me in and out of her life when it suited her engagement. Question number 3. When someone who abandoned you shows back up only after you start succeeding with long messages about family and blood and forgive the past, you open the door and hope they've changed? Or do you protect the life you built without them, even if people call you cold? It happened on a humid night in August at a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. The National Youth Impact Awards had turned the ballroom into something out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers, round tables with white tablecloths, cameras on tracks rolling across the floor, and a stage with a giant LED screen looping sponsor logos. I stood backstage in a black jumpsuit I'd borrowed from a friend, clutching the note cards the organizers had insisted I write, even though I knew my speech by heart. And now, the host boomed. Our Social Innovation Award goes to the founder of Step Up an app helping thousands of low-income students find scholarships and jobs. Give it up for Zara Miller. The lights were so bright when I walked down. They turned the crowd into a blur of silhouettes. I smiled, said the words about opportunity and access I'd practiced, held up the glass award for pictures. Afterward, during the cocktail reception, people swirled around in suits and dresses, talking about impact and scalability while waiters threaded through with trays of tiny, expensive-looking appetizers. My co-founder, Luke, handed me a ginger ale in a champagne glass. "You did great," he said. "No one even saw your handshake." I laughed, even though he was right. Then, out of habit, I scanned the room and saw her. She was standing near the far wall, half hidden behind a column, clutching a fake leather handbag like it was a life raft. For a second, my brain refused to process her in this setting. My mother, Lena Hayes on Facebook, looked smaller somehow, thinner, but not in a healthy way. The sun-kissed glow from her Miami photos was gone, replaced with the sallow look of someone who doesn't sleep enough and worries too much. Her hair, once always freshly highlighted, was pulled back in a too-tight ponytail, gray at the roots. The dress she wore tried to look fancy but was the wrong kind of shiny. The kind that wrinkles in the wrong spots. She was staring right at me. When our eyes met, she pasted on a wide, bright smile, the same one from all those Best Life pictures. "Zara," she called, too loud for the room, drawing a few curious glances. "A baby girl." She swept toward me like she owned the place, arms open for a hug. I didn't move. She stopped, arms hovering awkwardly, then turned it into this weird half-clap look. "At you," she said, voice sugary sweet, "all grown up. I barely recognized you on TV." Luke stepped back, reading the tension instantly. My mentor, Professor Chun, who'd flown in from campus, quietly drifted closer. "What are you doing here, Mom?" I asked. My voice came out steady, surprising even me. She blinked, as if the question itself was rude. "I came to see you," she said. "To celebrate. I'm so proud. I tell everyone, that's my daughter up there." Memories flashed. Blocked calls, no kids, the guardianship paper. I gave her a small, flat smile. "Security at the door," I said. "They usually only let in people whose names are on the list." Her jaw tightened, a little crack in the sweetness. "I have ways," she said breezily. "You think I wouldn't get in to see my own child?" "What do you need?" I asked. Her smile faltered for a heartbeat, then slid back into place. "Can we not do this here?" she whispered. "Not in front of all these people. I just want to talk. It's been so long." "There's nothing you can say that needs to be hidden," I said. "Ask." She took a breath, eyes getting shiny, and dropped her voice further. "Mark is sick," she said. "Really sick. Kidney failure. We've been drowning in bills. Zara insurance only covers so much. They're talking transplants and specialists and waiting lists." Her voice broke on the last word. She touched her hand to her chest, like the emotion was too much. "You know what they told us last week. 60 grand just to get on the list. More to actually do the surgery. $60,000. She let the number hang in the air between us. "We've burned through our savings. Sold the boat. Sold my jewelry. We're out of options." I could already see where this was going. "I know you're doing well," she rushed on. "I see your articles, your interviews. Everyone says you're some kind of millionaire now." She laughed weakly. "Must be nice, huh? And I'm happy for you. I am, but I'm your mother. We're family. It could, loan us something. Just a little bit to get through this. 50, 60,000. We'll pay you back." She said 50, 60,000 the way my grandma said $5 copay. Luke actually choked on his drink behind me. "A loan," I repeated. "Of course," she said quickly. "We're not asking for a handout. Just help your mother out." "After everything I did for you." My eyebrows lifted. "Everything you did for me," I echoed. She flinched at my tone. "I raised you alone," she said, heat creeping into her voice. "Your dad left me with nothing. I put a roof over your head, food in your mouth. I did the best I could. Yes, I made mistakes. You put me on a bus with $40 and blocked me before I got to Grandma's, I said quietly. And posted no kids, no strings, 3 days later. Face paled. What are you talking about? She snapped in a whisper. You don't know what was going on back then. I was depressed. I was scared. Things with Mark were complicated. It was better for you to be with your grandma. You know that. I reached into my small crossbody bag and pulled out a thin black folder. Her eyes tracked it like a dog watching a gun. Do you remember telling me Mark didn't sign up to raise someone else's baggage? I asked. For the first time that night, she looked rattled, but specific. I don't remember saying that. She said, people say things when they're upset. I remember, I said, and so does this. I opened the folder and turned the first page toward her. It was a color printout of her 2013 Facebook posts, her on Mark's boat, drink in hand, caption, finally. Living my best life. No drama, no kids, no strings, just us. Hashtag child-free, hashtag no regrets underneath. In 12-year-old handwriting I'd later typed up. Posted 3 days after sending me to Grandma's and blocking my number. Her hand flew to her mouth. You kepes? She hissed. What is wrong with you? I flipped to the next page. A photocopy of the custody relinquishment form. County court seal visible. You signed away your parental rights, I said. October 14, 2013. It says right here. I voluntarily forfeit any legal claim or responsibility regarding the minor child. Zara. She snatched the paper, eyes scanning. Collins tricked me, she said, voice shaking. He said it was just a temporary thing so your grandma could enroll you in school. I didn't know you knew enough to not show up to the hearings. I said, page 3. Screenshots. Love my child-free life, no responsibilities, just us. Best decision I ever made. All public posts. These are out of context, she said weakly. They're your words, I said. With dates behind us, I sensed more people listening. Professor Chun stepped closer, her presence like a wall at my back. Everything okay here, Zara? She asked, gaze flicking to my mother. This is family business, my mom snapped, the sweetness grating off. Stay out of it. Professor Chun didn't move. I'm the one who wrote Zara's grad school recommendation, she said calmly. Given that her family was unavailable, so I'm invested. My mom's eyes darted between us. The masks slipped. Listen, she said, dropping all pretense. Believe me or don't, I don't care. The fact is, we need help. Mark needs help. You have money. We're family. It's your turn to step up. I almost laughed at her using my company's name as a guilt trip. You told the internet you didn't have kids, I said. If you told the court you didn't have responsibility for me, now that you need 60 grand, suddenly I'm family again. Her eyes filled with tears. I carried you for 9 months, she said, voice trembling. I stayed when your dad died. I did what I had to do to survive. You think you're perfect? You think you wouldn't have made any mistakes in my shoes? I'm not saying I'm perfect, I said. I'm saying I was 12. She reached for my arm. I'm begging you, Zara, she whispered. Don't make me go back to that hospital. Tell them my own daughter let him die. Don't make me tell people you turned your back on your mother. What will people say? There it was, the old weapon. Shame. I thought of Grandma's tiny kitchen. The pastel sticky notes on the fridge. One of them, written in her shaky handwriting, flashed into my mind. Saying no to abuse is not abuse. I think, I said slowly, people will say actions have consequences. Her tears spilled over. I said I was sorry. She whispered, isn't that worth anything? How long are you going to punish me? I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm just not rescuing you. She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. I hope Mark gets better, I continued. I really do. No one deserves to be sick and broke, but I am not your backup plan. I'm not your retirement account. I'm not the safety net you cut when you got on that boat. You're my daughter, she said, voice rising again. You owe me. Every good thing you have is because I gave you life. Luke shifted beside me, ready to step in. I held up a hand. You gave birth to me, I said. Life. Grandma gave me life. Mr. Collins helped. Every waitress who tipped her extra helped. The librarians who let me stay till closing helped. You blocked me and posted hashtags. She looked like I'd slapped her. Joyce said, you made your bed? You lie in it, I added. You said it every time I messed up a chore, every time I asked you for new shoes. Actions have consequences, Zara. I let the words hang there. These, I said, tapping the papers, are your consequences. Her face crumpled. She dropped to her knees, right there on the polished ballroom floor, in front of founders and philanthropists and cameras. She grabbed at my hand. Please, she sobbed. I'm sorry, I'll do anything. I'll tell people I was a bad mom. I'll admit it. Just don't leave me out here with nothing. For a second, the 12-year-old in me reached out, wanting to pull her up, tell her it was okay, that I'd fix it, that I'd always fix it then, like a flash. I saw Grandma again, sitting at that chipped kitchen table with a hospital bill in front of her, saying, "We'll figure it out, kid. With or without your mama." I gently pulled my hand from my mother's grip. "I didn't leave you with nothing," I said softly. "You had Mark, you had Miami, you had a whole life. You chose over me. I'm just not stepping in now that it's falling apart." Two security guards, prompted by an anxious event manager, approached. Mom one said quietly, "You're causing a disturbance. We're going to have to ask you to step outside." She clung to me as they tried to help her up. "You can't do this," she cried, voice breaking. "I'm your mother. Blood is blood. You owe me." The whole room had gone silent. Even the band had stopped playing. I took a breath. "I owed you food and clothing when I was a kid," I said. "You decided not to pay that bill. I don't owe you a bailout now." They led her toward the doors. She kept looking back, eyes wild, shouting my name. I watched her go. I didn't follow. If your parent was on their knees in front of you, sobbing in a fancy ballroom, begging you to hand over the money they needed to save the life they chose, over you, would you give in just to make the guilt and the scene stop? Or would you stand your ground and let them finally feel the weight of their own choices? The internet, of course, did its thing. Within 24 hours, a shaky phone video from the awards night hit Twitter and TikTok. In it, you could see my mother kneeling, clutching my hand, me standing stiffly, security gently guiding her away. No audio, just subtitles, someone added. "Girl refuses to help sick stepfather, kicks crying mom out of event." The comments were what you'd expect. "Wow, no respect, ungrateful much. She wouldn't even be alive without her mom. Money changes people." I didn't bother engaging. Strangers were going to decide I was a villain or a hero based on a 30-second clip, no matter what I said. Instead, I focused where it actually mattered, offline. A week after the awards, a letter arrived at my office. My assistant slid the envelope across my desk, brow raised. It came certified from a law firm in Dallas. Inside was a demand letter from my mom's attorney. It claimed that I'd abandoned her in her time of need, that, as her only child, I had an obligation to support her financially, that she was entitled to a fair share of Grandma June's house. "As my late father's wife," Mr. Collins read it and almost laughed. "She really is something," he said. "She's trying to use laws meant to protect elderly parents who actually raised their kids." He opened his bottom drawer and pulled out 2 files he'd kept ready. "Luckily," he added, tapping the papers, "we have something better than tears. We have receipts." Our response was simple and boring, the way good legal responses usually are. Attached, the signed court order where she relinquished parental rights and any obligation to support me, and by extension, any claim to me. Attached, Grandma's notarized will, leaving the house solely to me, plus proof of sole mortgage payments for years. Copies of her public posts bragging about her child-free life. To counter any narrative that she'd been a present, supportive parent abandoned by a greedy daughter. 2 months later, the firm quietly dropped the matter. No lawsuit, no court hearing, just silence. Without the legal threat. She tried another route. Social pressure. She posted a long Facebook status about kids today having no loyalty, about a daughter who threw her poor mother out like trash. When she asked for help, relatives screenshotted it and sent it to me with messages like, "Is this about you? And you should talk to her. Life's short." I sent a few of them my own screenshots in return. The no kids, no strings post, the custody relinquishment form, her texts mentioning me only when she needed money. Some texted back, "Damn, we didn't know." Others never responded again. I didn't need them to choose sides. I just needed to be done fighting ghosts. Meanwhile, my actual life kept moving. Step Up expanded to serve over 400,000 students across the U.S. We partnered with school districts and nonprofits. A major foundation committed $5 million over 5 years to scale our work. For the first time, I wasn't just paying my own bills, I was signing paychecks for a team of 20. I bought something that shocked my 12-year-old self. A small one-bedroom condo in a decent part of the city. Nothing flashy, but it had hardwood floors, a balcony with a view of actual trees, and a washer-dryer that didn't threaten to explode. In the hallway by my desk, I hung 3 framed things. My first Step Up uses thank you email, a copy of Grandma's will. The evidence mom notebook cover, scanned and blown up, the word evidence in messy black Sharpie at the top. Professor Chun came over for dinner one night, takeout Thai eaten on my new couch. She said, looking at the frames, some people are going to insist what you did was cruel. I know, I said. I see the comments. They'll say you shouldn't have given her the money. She continued, that God or karma or whatever would sort out what she did to you. That you should be the bigger person. I didn't destroy her life, I said quietly. I just stopped letting her draft me into fixing it. She nodded, satisfied. Exactly. The June Miller Scholarship Fund awarded its first cohort that year. 25 kids raised by grandparents, each with a $5,000 check to put toward tuition, housing, or whatever they needed to stay in school. One girl came up to me after the ceremony, clutching her folder so hard her fingers turned white. My mom took off when I was 2, she said, showed back up last year asking for money. My grandma says I don't owe her anything. I don't know what to believe. I looked at her. I saw myself at 12, 16, 20. You owe her the same thing she gave you, I said. Nothing more, nothing less. If she didn't show up for you, you don't have to bankrupt your future to show up for her. That's not cruelty. That's math. We both laughed a little at that, last I heard. Through a cousin who still talks to my mom. She's living in a small rental on the outskirts of Dallas. Mark's alive but on disability. They argue a lot. She still tells people I cut her off. When I got rich, she says rich like I have a vault somewhere, not a company with investors and payroll and burn rates. Sometimes I think about picking up the phone, just to see what I'd feel hearing her voice without panic or anger attached. Then I remember 12-year-old me on that bus, clutching $40 in a notebook. And I remember who showed up for me and who showed up only when they needed something. I used to believe that if your own mother could leave you, it meant there was something fundamentally wrong with you. Now I know the truth. Some people are just not capable of loving the way you need it. That's their limitation, not your flaw. Looking back, I realized the day my mom blocked me wasn't just the worst day of my life. It was also the beginning of a different story, one where I stopped begging someone who'd already chosen to walk away and started building something no one could take credit for but me and the people who actually stayed. Grandma June gave me structures, stubbornness, and a file folder full of stamped papers that said, "You are not crazy. This really happened." My mother gave me something too unintentionally. She gave me a crystal clear picture of the kind of adult I never want to be. Both of them, in opposite ways, made me who I am. This isn't a story about revenge. It's a story about documentation and boundaries. About a kid who started writing things down because she was tired of being told her pain was exaggeration. That didn't hurt my mother. It didn't post her secrets or show up at her job or wish illness on her husband. I simply stopped letting her hurt me, emotionally, financially, legally. Family isn't magic. But Amyamava isn't a spell that erases signatures on custody papers or the echo of an unanswered phone at 12 years old. If you're watching this and you're stuck in a situation where the people who are supposed to love you use that love as leverage, where family is a word they throw like a net over your wallet, your time, your sanity, hear me. Choosing yourself is not betrayal. It's survival, my mom told me. Standing in that bus station, Mark didn't sign up to raise someone else's baggage. She was right about 2 things. I am not baggage, and I did figure my life out without her, just not in the way she expected. So, tell me, if the parent who blocked you at 12, erased you from their life, and only came back when they needed tens of thousands of dollars, suddenly stood in front of you saying, blood is blood, You owe me. Would you forgive, forget, and write the check? Or would you do what I did, open the folder, lay out the truths, and finally decide that the only life you're responsible for saving is your own? And if you want to know what I told that scholarship student when her mom came back asking for money, that's a story for another time.